Welcome. In this explainer, we're going to dig into Schoology's really powerful mastery feature. Seriously, it can completely change how you look at and understand what your students are learning.
All right, let's just start with a question that I'm pretty sure every single one of us has thought about. You look at a grade, maybe a B plus or a 78%, and you have to ask, what does that really mean? Does it mean the student's kind of good at everything? Or are they knocking it out of the park on some things and really struggling with others? That single, traditional grade, it often hides way more than it ever reveals.
So here's what we're going to cover. We'll talk about the problem with that single score. Then we'll meet Schoology's solution, the Mastery Gradebook. I'll show you how to align your materials, how to set up your grading for mastery, and then, the best part, how to visualize all that progress. Okay, first things first. Let's really get into why a more detailed view of student performance isn't just, a nice little extra. It's actually crucial for effective teaching. So here's the big idea, right? We want to shift our whole mindset. We want to move from just knowing what a student's grade is to really, truly understanding why they earned it. It's all about looking past that overall average to see how they're actually doing on the individual skills that you're teaching.
So, how do we get that deeper view? Well, that's where Schoology's Mastery Gradebook comes into play.
Now, this is a really important distinction to make. Your traditional gradebook, that's where you do the work, right? You're entering grades for assignments. But the Mastery Gradebook, that's where you see the results. Think of it like a report that automatically organizes all that same data by the standard you're teaching, not just by the assignment name. They work together, but they do totally different things. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. The mastery area isn't another place for data entry. It's not another spreadsheet you have to manage. It's an automatically generated super visual report. It just takes the grades you're already putting in and reorganizes them to show you student competency on specific skills. Of course, for that report to work its magic, we have to feed it the right information first. And that means connecting your course materials directly to your learning objectives. And you know what? The process itself is super simple. When you're making or editing an assignment, you'll see this Align button down at the bottom. You just click that, find your standard, whether it's state standards or your own, drill down until you find the one you want, and boom, click to add it. It's that easy. And here's the really cool part. You can align pretty much anything. We're not just talking about big assignments. You can tag discussions, pages, and this one's a total game changer. You can even align individual questions inside a quiz. The more stuff you align, the richer and more accurate your mastery data is going to be. Okay, so once you've started aligning your materials, the next step is to tell Schoology what mastery actually looks like for you and your students. This is where you get to customize everything. Over in the mastery section, you're going to look for this little gear icon. When you click that, it opens up the settings panel. This is basically your command center for defining all the rules for how student progress gets measured and displayed. And the options in here are just fantastic. You get to decide the exact score that equals meets expectations to make the cells turn green. You get to say if a student needs to show mastery, say, 3 times before they get that little star icon. You can even choose how the score is calculated. Is it their average, their highest score, or, and this is super cool, a decaying average that gives more weight to their most recent work? It gives you all the flexibility you need. So you might be wondering, okay, but how does Schoology know which score to use? Well, it's pretty smart about it. If you use a rubric and grade a standard on its own, it uses that specific score. For a quiz, it'll pull the score from just the individual question you aligned. And if you don't use a rubric on, say, an assignment or discussion, it'll just use the overall score. It makes sure the data feeding that report is always the most relevant it can be. All right, you've aligned your materials, you've set up all your rules. Now for the payoff. Let's see how all this data comes to life in a visual report that you can actually use to drive what you do next in your classroom. This is it, the main mastery dashboard. Just look at it. In a single glance, you see the whole picture for your entire class. You can instantly spot patterns. If you see a whole column of red under a certain standard, you know exactly what you need to reteach tomorrow. It makes your next instructional move so clear. So let's quickly break down what we're looking at. The colors are your quick temperature check. Green is good, a student's meeting expectations. The star means they've hit that mastery requirement that you set up earlier. And that tiny number in the corner, that just tells you how many assignments or scores are feeding into that calculation, so you know how solid the data is. But this is where it gets really powerful.
You can click on any student's name and drill down from that big class overview right into one student's individual learning journey.
And what you get is this beautiful bar graph that plots their score on every single thing you've aligned to that standard. Think about the conversations you can have now. You're not just saying, you got a C. You're showing them, look at your progress over time. See how you grew on this skill. What can we do to get this last attempt into the green? It completely changes the conversation with students and with parents.
And really, when you boil it all down, that's what this is about. The Mastery feature is a tool that helps you implement a standards-based grading approach right inside the platform you're already using. It's all about providing feedback that's way more actionable than just a single letter grade. So let's end with this question. Once you have this kind of detailed insight, when you can see not just what a student scored, but the why behind it, it changes everything. It empowers you to truly differentiate your instruction and personalize learning. The only question left is, what learning gaps are you going to close first?